with the Miller Media Group. Previous sales experience is a plus, but not a requirement. But a long-term career is. Are you looking for us? Send your resume to sales@randyradio.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today is DeWitt County Board Chair Dan Matthews. Mr. Matthews, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Seth. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for making time for us. I know the board meeting in May kind of fell on the front end of the Memorial Day weekend, and I know you and I took some time off there to have an extended weekend, so we didn't get to catch up right after the meeting. But glad we were able to put this on the calendar and get together here to follow up that meeting from May. And just to start out, Mr. Matthews, one of the first pieces of business from that meeting was the announcement that you will not be seeking re-election. Tell us about this decision from your perspective.
Sure. There's a lot that went into that, Seth. I had actually thought about not running on the previous term, but then it was only a 2-year term. We drew straws, and my district happened to come up as a 2-year term. And so I felt that I could put another 2 years into the county board. I wanted to finish some things that not only myself, but some other people on the Marina Committee had started as far as the process of looking into selling the marina. So I have 2 more years out there, and so I decided to do that. So, I've served for almost 6 years now, and I'm on my 3rd version of the county board, meaning, there's been, 3 elections since I've been on the board. So a lot of people have turned over. And I'm kind of at the point at my life, I have a grandson that's 20 months old. And if I want to go by there on a Thursday night instead of going to a county board meeting, it's tough to say no to that. So there's a lot of things that went in. Just busy at work. I work in Springfield, so it's hard to get back to Clinton at 5 o'clock a lot of times. But I think we've done some great things, and I think 6 years on the board, it's time for somebody else to take my spot and see what it's all about, bring new ideas. So there was a lot that went into it. But when you kind of think about it with the county board, it's a huge commitment. You're talking 40 to 50 meetings a year, and take that time 6 years. I've spent almost 300 days or 300 evenings at meetings, out of 6 years, and I'm ready for some downtime and let somebody else take over and come in and help the county out.
Sure. I know you're on the school board as well, Mr. Matthews. Is that a position that is on your mind to give up as well?
It's not. No, I really enjoy the school board and I enjoy the county board. But the school board is a lot less time. It's really once or twice a month. I still have things with the school board that I want to help the district accomplish. And so I need dropping one of them, dropping the county board, which is 2 to 3 times as more meetings, is something that I decided that I'll continue my term. I still have 2 more full years on the school board as well. So we'll see what happens a couple years down the road. I may decide that had enough there as well, and just want to make my own decision every night of what I'm going to go home and do.
Sure. Mr. Matthews, I've been contacted about this a lot. I'm sure you've faced some questions as you make your way around town as well. The scrutiny that you've come under in the last few months. Some folks would say, well, this is just you kind of riding off into the sunset to avoid the problems there. What do you say to that?
Anybody that puts themselves on a board is going to get scrutiny, right? They're going to make decisions that don't make everybody else happy. And most of those people who are asking or saying those kind of things probably don't come to the boards and see that it's not easy. It's not an easy job for any of us. And everybody gets calls of things they're not doing right or wrong. But you put that aside because you're serving your community, and that you're putting in the time. People don't realize how much time it takes to be on several committees and meet on the monthly meetings and maybe have a special meeting. And there's other things you got to come in and do during the week. So it's a huge time commitment, and it's not for everybody. That's for sure. It's not easy. You got to have thick skin at times, and serving your community for 6 years I think is for anybody to do it. Anybody to serve for 2 or 4 years on the county board is a lot, and it's a big commitment. So I would say that I tried to be as straightforward as I can, and really, your family, work, and your friends are number one. And if you can't enjoy those things at 56 years old, then it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm. You mind if I ask just kind of what your thoughts are on some of the scrutiny you've come under in the last few months, Mr. Matthews, and just kind of the it feels like it just kind of continues sporadically, but it continues nonetheless. Just your thoughts on some of the things being levied against you.
Well, I think people who know me, people who work with me, people who have seen all the things I've done over the years, those aren't the people questioning things. So I'd like to probably leave it at that.
Very good. Dan Matthews, DeWitt County Board Chair, our guest here on the phone this morning as we follow up the May DeWitt County Board meeting. Mr. Matthews, out of that board meeting was pretty extensive discussion about basically payments to the county for decommissioning of the Enel wind farm. Enel, from what I can surmise, proposed wanting a bank not based in DeWitt County, in fact, hardly based in the United States, to deposit funds into. That wasn't something it sounds like the county board was very interested in. What's this situation? Was that a fair summary that I put out there?
It is. The agreement was there's 3 methods that the decommissioning funds could be entered into. I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but we had choices of how we wanted those funds. And I think everyone feels a lot more comfortable. And an option was an escrow account. I think cash is king, and that is what we all were given the choice. That's one of our choices. So we just simply asked that, hey, we would like you to go back and say, this is how we want it done. It was one of the choices in the agreement. And the county board asked that Dee go back to Enel and say, this is the choice that we prefer. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably have another discussion with them, but it's a choice we had. It wasn't something we made up the other night. It was part of the agreement, and that's where we want to see the decommissioning funds go.
It's been a few weeks since the county board meeting. Has there been any movement in the discussions or decisions or where that could go next?
There hasn't been. We've communicated that to them. As far as I know, Dee hasn't heard back from them. It may go into, I think they're going to come to our meeting in August, if I remember right. They made a commitment to come meet in person and just go over some questions that we have. So I would imagine it goes on for a little while here, or just maybe have that face-to-face discussion about it in August.
Sure. And it feels like, and we can maybe dive into the one other piece of Enel business that came up from last month, but it just feels like anytime you try to engage Enel, it's like pulling teeth, and it's taking forever, and doesn't really help the fact that they've moved out of town and there's no one directly to speak to. I don't know if you have a direct contact for them, but just speak to the continued trying to engage of Enel and just maybe the frustration that looms with that.
That's true. It does seem like it takes a long time to get an answer from them, no matter what the question is. The facility is up and running. And so, on their side, I think things are probably going well. And but we were left with a choice. The board was left with choices after this agreement was done that we knew were going to be hard to manage. We weren't going to have a real strong position on some things, and we knew we were going to struggle with those. They were left unanswered or unsatisfactorily answered how things could get handled in the future. And so we're seeing some of those things now. We don't really have the leverage that we need to get answers from them. So, hopefully somehow we move forward. Maybe August is the start of that. Let's hope that they show up and we have a good meeting. It's not going to be a bashing session. It's going to be, how do we get answers? Who are our contacts? How can they commit to better communication with us? And that's all we've been asking for here for quite some time. We haven't got that yet. So we're hoping, we'll see what happens. I'm not real confident, but we'll see what happens here.
Well,
next month or two.
I remember the springtime. I mean, you and I were chatting, and the hope was to have them, in front of you folks March, April time, and here we are in June, and we're talking about August or September them finally getting in front of the board. So I think that on its own
doesn't make a lot of sense. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. I remember, I think the March meeting, I said, they're supposed to be there in person. We got a kind of a letter from them saying, hey, here's some of your answers. We're busy. Let's get back, some other time. So, we're trying to hold them to August. That was their commitment. Wish it was sooner, but we will see what happens here in August.
Easy enough. So look forward to hopefully having Enel folks in front of you in the near future here. Mr. Matthews, anything else on Enel, the wind farm, anything of that nature that we haven't touched on or maybe wasn't brought up at the board meeting but is of note from your perspective?
I don't have anything else on that right now, Seth. No.
Well, tell you what, let's take a break here, Mr. Matthews, rather than start up a whole new conversation. Let's just take a break. We'll come back and talk more about the, of course, May DeWitt County Board meeting with DeWitt County Board Chair Dan Matthews, our guest on the phone. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Chip Flory here, the host of AgriTalk, the nation's longest-running agriculture talk show. I'm here to remind our listeners on Central Illinois' agriculture station, WHOW, that you can hear our show weekday mornings from 10 to 11 on WHOW's many platforms. On the Big 1520 across Central Illinois, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and now on 106.5 FM in Logan County, and on the WHOW app. AgriTalk on WHOW.
Fiber internet has come to Clinton, thanks to Connexus. That's right, Connexus has brought fiber internet to Clinton with plans starting at $45 a month and speeds up to 5 gig. Fall in love with your internet again with incredible fiber internet right to your home. Get on the fiber internet superhighway in Clinton now by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Fiber internet has come to Clinton. Fiber not available everywhere. Terms and conditions apply.
Allergy season is here, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine is here to help. No appointment, no problem. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Ramey Miller from Run Deep Coaching. Take your power back. I do holistic personal and business coaching. My service is virtual, so we can visit no matter where you are. Find out more by clicking my icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest on the phone today is Mr. Dan Matthews, DeWitt County Board Chair. We follow up the May DeWitt County Board meeting. And Mr. Matthews, let's dive into, you mentioned, just briefly reference the sale of the marina there in that first segment, and some discussion about that sale of the marina in May. What was the discussion around? It sounded like some contention about some language in contracts and that sort of thing, proposals. What's going on there?
Yeah, so we brought the final purchase agreement to the full board at the May meeting, and there was still a few questions left, so there was no need to rush into. A couple of members had just received the purchase agreement the night before, and so really I wasn't going to call a vote, or any of us call a vote on something that a board member felt they didn't have time to review it and understand everything, get their questions answered. So we moved that to the following week, which was last Thursday now. So that did get approved by the full board. And then we also approved a short-term lease agreement so that the new owner, the buyer, Sullivan Marina, which will now be Clinton Marina and Campground LLC, could go ahead and get out there and start selling gas and looking at the property and seeing what repairs and things need to be, made as we get ready to, Memorial Day kind of kicked off the summer season at boating. And so a lot of people have their boats out there now compared to just a couple of weeks ago. We had a quick meeting out there last night, the Marina Committee, just to see what was going on out there and see how we could, what other information we needed to get to the new owner. And so that was approved. They're out there now. They have their own Facebook page. They've been posting their hours. They're out there every day. And so people can now start getting more answers. There's been a lot of people asking about, transient boat rentals, which there's about 14 spots out there that people can rent for, a day or two over the weekend. I think maybe up to a week. The new owner can obviously decide however they want to do those type of rentals. There's people wanting to put dry land storage boats out there. So we wanted to get that turned over as quickly as we could.
Mm-hmm.
So that all came about after last Thursday's meeting. So, I know there's been a lot of people stopping in and to meet them, and they've got going to have a staff member out there full time, living out there, so that around the clock they'll have support for any issues that come up, just like we did before. There's a couple apartments up above the main building, and I don't know all the renovations, but the owner last night was speaking to some boaters about a major renovation coming to the building here shortly. So they're ready to get moving along and start bringing, a lot of new things to the marina, amenities for the slip renters and boat rentals, boat sales, things like that, the reason we chose to sell the marina, and so they could get it moving along.
It seemed, Mr. Matthews, at the meeting this in May, there was uncertainty about the slip rental revenues. Did that go? Was that part of the agreement? Did that go to the new? Does that go to the new owner? Those sorts of things. Do you mind speaking to just the questions about the slip rentals? And where that stood in terms of, was that part of the agreement? Was that part of the RFP process? How about some of those things?
That was a question that the committee talked about well back in December. Do we collect rents? Do we wait for a new owner? Well, not knowing if the marina was going to be sold or not, we said, let's go ahead and collect the slip renters, because their agreements run out the end of February. So let's keep those in place so people didn't have to move their boats, so that people had continuous agreements, and those would be prorated if we sold the marina. If we didn't sell the marina, then they would go to, if the county decided they were going to run it, they'd already be collected, the agreements would be in place. So it's just trying to make a smooth transition, whether the marina was sold or not.
Mr. Matthews, just in terms of the new owner taking over, you mentioned that special meeting you had last week. Was there any decisions made about the marina at that point? What's kind of next in this whole process?
The only thing that the special meeting was simply to approve the purchase agreement and then to approve the short-term lease. There was no other agenda items on there for last Thursday. So now we anticipate, the closing sometime in the next 30 days, probably less. The final closing after the agreement had to be signed first to get the final loan information and all that, like you would on any other purchase. So
okay,
I would think it'd be finalized probably in the next 30 days or shorter.
Very good. Dan Matthews, DeWitt County Board Chair, our guest on the phone today. We follow up the May DeWitt County Board meeting. Mr. Matthews, tell me about the board approving a letter of support for Logan Correction Center in Logan County, our neighbors to the west. How about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important, for the safety of the communities. There's a lot of jobs there. They ask us, to write a letter of support. I think Sheriff Walker had already engaged with them, and obviously stands behind keeping that facility open. And I'm starting to see more and more news about it, and other people also, putting in their support for it. There was something on the news last night. I don't remember the exact group, but it's an important part of the surrounding community. And I don't know what we can do other than give them our support and let them know how important it is to the area. And hopefully they can figure out something to keep that facility open.
Very good. Yeah, I know it's a hugely important piece of, not only, the economy there in Logan County, but just, the driver it is for the local economy and those sorts of things. And the way Lincoln has, lost a lot of state facilities and those sorts of things over the years, this would be another blow to that. No question about it. Mr. Matthews, let's wrap it up today talking about a night shift janitorial position. And this, too, garnered a little discussion last month. Speak to this for us, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, Seth. It's different than private business, I guess. The county has always, there's certain positions that obviously are, I want to say necessary, but that you're going to fill. There's certain department heads, things like that are permanent positions. But what we find is there's other positions below that we had positions at the animal shelter, the janitorial position. So when a person leaves, or you want to add another person, you have to develop a job description each and every time. So it seems kind of redundant. You take the old job description, you write it out again, you agree to it again, and then you're able to post the position. So it's just something that we were going to look into as a board, because sometimes it delays the process. You need somebody, and if you miss the board meeting and then you got the next meeting, you got to rewrite the same position. It's one of those things that's probably old and just needs looked at and revamped so that we can get people hired quicker and fill positions. And it's just kind of an archaic process that no one really knows why it was put into place. I'm sure there was a good reason at the time, but we need to get it changed.
Easy enough. Mr. Matthews, what comes up this month in June? Anything of note for this month's board meeting?
I don't think we have any, anything or shaking or anything like that that's coming up. Probably just some normal business. There'll probably be, I think RPC and ZBA are working on some different ordinance changes. Land use has been busy. So
sure.
Probably some things around those areas.
Very good.
I think would probably be the next thing.
Very good. Mr. Dave Matthews, DeWitt County Board Chair, my guest on the phone. Network news on the way on the WHOW Morning Show. We stream live online all the time at DeWitt.